we have aligned that. The events such as the Safari Rally we have in Naivasha, now we can have more of those when transport solutions have already been aligned. So I just want to say that this project is going to change, not just Nakuru. The impact of this is going to be felt up to Kitale and up to Eldoret and beyond. But before it is felt in Eldoret, where must it be felt? Where? Isn't it? So I think, and we must put it where it belongs, that it's time for people to plan. Government can do the road, but it cannot come and build that hotel. It cannot come and build that school. So we need to ask ourselves, what do we need to do? The county also to plan, and I think we've had some of these discussions, because currently the volume of traffic, say, into Naivasha is based on the current traffic numbers. So if tomorrow we do 4 lanes feeding into Naivasha, it will be clogged the first few days. So we need also to expand our internal road networks, including right here in Nakuru, maybe also in Gilgil and all the other towns. So I think for purposes of planning, this is when we should also make sure that our urban centers are connected. But in short, for the people of Nakuru, the president has been very passionate about this particular project, but more importantly is you, because it has an immediate impact on your bottom line. And I want to tell you, by the time we finish, the value of land in Nakuru at the least will be double the value. So I think we need to work around that. Secondly, allow me to look at the interest we've been able to generate. So part of my role is to look for investors both within the country and outside. And the gentleman who are sitting here with me, Abubakar, is the PS, and the agency responsible for attracting is Keproba, and Madam Floyce, who's just come, welcome, together with Ken Invest here for bringing investors. Now, I just want to say that there's a very big disconnect. The kind of interest we have seen to invest in the country from foreigners is very high. 2 weeks ago, we visited with our team a factory in Kiambu that is a total of 55 acres, and out of that 55 acres, all of it is a factory. It's built beacon to beacon. You need a vehicle to travel within the factory. We have another one in Kitengela, 200 acres coming up. So many a time when we have gone out with the president together with his team, I think everybody wants to come to Kenya for different reasons. One is that because of the global geopolitics, it's easier to manufacture in Africa and sell to some of those countries. We have good labor, educated, we have internet, we have good weather around the year. We have all those factors that are lined up for us. So when we meet under international investors who want to come to Kenya, they are very upbeat. In fact, they don't ask too many questions. They just want to know, where is the land? Where is the policy? They are ready to sign in. In the next 2 weeks, we'll be signing up with a tire company, which is the 3rd biggest company in the world. It's the first time in Africa, and we are having very many companies that are coming to Africa for the first time. So I think that's a good thing. But I've been asking myself, maybe when you meet among Kenyan investors, what is the vibe? What is the thinking? Is it matched with what the others are thinking? I don't think so. I think there's a certain spirit that has been preached for too long, that things aren't working, that nothing is working, maybe nothing will ever work, and as a result of that, we shouldn't, be investing. Now, I want to say more so as a business person that there is no time when Kenyans thought that everything that is being done by government was necessarily the right thing. However, and I want to use my example in Thika Road. Before we did Thika Road, we had to demolish very many houses. Those of you who are that old will remember. And there was a huge outcry. But today when you go through those bypasses, do you remember the outcry or the outcome? What do you remember? It's the outcome. Nairobi now is connected. You can move from Westlands to here, you can move all that. So on Thika Road, in particular, there was a supermarket that was right on the road. And unfortunately, it also belonged to a friend who we were with in Parliament at that time. But it was difficult to have it and still have the road. So a difficult choice had to be made, and the supermarket was brought down so that Thika Road could be put. So the point is, there are short-term sacrifices. But in the long run, the outcomes will be what we want. So some of the things we are trying to do now may have, short-term sort of issues, but I believe that if you're able to push to the very logical conclusion, we'll be able to see outcomes that are also consistent with our expectations. Now, when it comes to real numbers, allow me just to run a few. Let's use the currency, which is a good way of checking the stability of a country. So those of you who understand international relations, you are aware that of the biggest countries in Africa, think Egypt, think South Africa, think Nigeria, all those countries, even Ghana, even Egypt, all those countries have suffered a massive devaluation of their currency in the last 1 year. In fact, in some of them, like Ethiopia, over 50% devaluation. In others, maybe 40, maybe 60. Now, what has happened to the Kenyan currency during the same period? What has happened? It has appreciated and stabilized at 130, when the South African rand has been hit right to the floor. So, I would say that is a good indicator that, yes, there could be something that we need to fix, but there is an indicator that we are headed in the right direction. Secondly, is the issue of interest rates, which I've already said we were at 19, now we are coming to 14, and our conversations with the bank indicate maybe towards first quarter of next year, we could be talking around maybe 13 or 13.5, which would be remarkable. Again, when you look at our exports, both in the region and outside the region, I would say at least at the external end, and I can see some of our exporters here, it has been on an upward trajectory. In some cases, up to 10 to 15. Which news you want to hear? But from where I sit, I would want the same interest generated by outsiders should also be matched by locals. Because this is your country. Anybody who tells you that there is another country you will go to, even if you go to America, you will always be an immigrant. Even if you're how rich. Even if you're still an immigrant. You are a foreigner. And you'll always be treated as such. This is the only country where you can come and do anything you want, and you will still be a Kenyan. So you have a responsibility to make it happen. So I think, as I said, we would want to urge our people, maybe let us find a way of seeing what is good and better. Remember, we started by saying that we have more young people than we can accommodate. How do we employ these young people if we continue selling like a doomsday kind of approach to life, which in my opinion may not exactly be what is the reality. Now, the other issue that I also thought we could bring to our attention is when it comes to exports, the government, even before I got there myself, there is a deliberate attempt to open foreign markets. And I want to start with one, maybe the UAE. The UAE is probably 5 hours by air, maybe 8 days by sea. Is our closest market. What we have, they don't have. And what they have, we don't have. So in short, they are a cash-rich economy generally because of oil. Whether you're thinking of Saudi and all those other countries. But we also have a weather they cannot match. We have land for agriculture, which they don't have. We have around the year sort of opportunities for tourism and everything, which they do not have. And therefore, following the signing of that agreement, the EPA, we have seen an increase in exports, especially for commodities that are required in the European Union. Recently, I met a gentleman called Kenneth from Kitengela, and he's growing pepper, chili, if you want to call it. So chili does not grow in necessarily the wettest areas. It requires a bit of dry. But the kind of demand they have to sell into those markets, they have to go to other countries to be able to meet their order. Now, I'm saying this in the full realization that Nakuru is an agricultural county. So again, if we look at the demand in those places, whether for live animals like sheep and goat that we are selling into that market, whether for the flowers, whether for anything you want to imagine into that Gulf market, I think the time for the Nakuru Business Association and all the others, for us to organize, link the markets with the people here, so that the lands in Joro and Molo, Kuresoi, and all those places that are available. Actually, I think this is the only county where we are not in short of land. We are not in short of manpower. And even the weather is right. So whether it means people are going to contract or whatever they're going to do, and we are going to address the issues to do with capital, we think that Nakuru should be a key player in the export markets. In the flower business, I think we are the leading, but we believe we can do something much more beyond the flowers. And we would want to connect you. I've said the two people who are here, their work is to connect markets to Kenya. So for those of you who may want to export any commodity you want to imagine, I think after this is good to, because this is a networking session, to meet with Floyce or John so that we can be able to connect you. And even as we speak now, we are running an expo in Japan to try and open that market for our tea, for our coffee, for our textiles, and anything you want to imagine. So for any of the companies in Nakuru that may want that connection, I think we are here to establish that link. We have other markets, including the European Union, which is essentially like 27 countries. Germany, France, Spain, all those big countries. And again, the orders coming from there are very huge. And I'm saying this also to highlight to you that the issue of the youth unemployment is something within our reach. Because if we take advantage of all these opportunities that are there, and we look at the financing options that are available, and we have the right weather, we have the land, then I believe you will employ your 20 people, I will employ my 30 people, and together we can contribute towards resolving this issue. We also have the Chinese market. Now, the Chinese market is probably a 1.4 billion market. So even if they gave us the equivalent of one county, and they gave us orders from that, we would switch off our phone. Because it's like 140. A typical, what they call a province there is like 140 million people. So again, huge opportunities. Recently, I was in the hotel here, and I saw lots of tourists from now that part of the world. So already people are taking advantage of the new markets and opportunities that are coming up. So again, we would want to say out of the Chinese, a whole host of opportunities are coming up. And we'll be happy to connect, whether in whatever area you are in. They want to come here, they want to start businesses, they want to partner with those who are already here. Some of them are starting very big businesses, so they may need raw materials in areas where you can be able to connect. And I think this would be a good place to start the conversation. Now, you're aware that the president has been spearheading this discussion with Japan, with China. And I want to confirm that in the past, Kenya was attracting a tariff of 10% to sell into China, but Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda and those countries were getting 0. So we started a conversation this year in April to remove the 10% from Kenya. So our exports will go up because the 10% tariff to China is being removed, and we are now going to have a 0 tariff, 0 quota, into a 1.4 billion population. So again, a huge opportunity that we would want all of you to work. Now, we have countries like Japan, where we mainly import a lot of the vehicles and machinery that we have in Kenya. You may be aware that the country is planning to raise a bond in Japan, and part of the bond, we are structuring it so that we can use part of the money to develop the auto industry. So what is the auto industry? Auto industry is anybody who is involved in the business of making a part or parts of a motor vehicle. Whether it's a spare part, whether it's tires, whether it's filters, whether it's seats, body, anything you want to imagine. So we will nearly be having almost 13 billion shillings that we can lend to Kenyans who want to get into that line of business. So again, with a line of credit of nearly 13 billion, I think that can completely change so that we don't have vehicles imported. Even the mat that you're stepping on is made in Japan. Even the side mirror, even the tires. So we would want, using this automotive policy, which we have already passed, to try and change our manufacturing policy so that part of those things can be manufactured here. I think some 4 years ago, I visited one of the factories here in Free Area, and they manufacture filters. So these should be the next big companies. And I think this is where people come together, see what it is you can be able to work, benefit from some of those programs that the government is providing, and together we can be able to make or bake a bigger cake. We will also be looking at areas of improving exports. So again, allow me to say we have this institution called KDC. KDC is Kenya Development Corporation. Currently, we are running a balance sheet of about 10 billion, but recently the president directed that we look for another 20 billion to put into KDC. Now, what is this 20 billion to do? Is for a hotel like Sarova, if they want to expand their hotel and they want long-term finance at a low rate, to go to KDC. And we lend, I think, at 10%. I think KDC people around here, yeah, they're here. So please feel free to talk to them when you live here. But I think also it's good I make it clear, although they lend at 10%, they expect you to pay. Isn't it? I'm saying that because it's important that after you pay, you are therefore eligible for more money. And I think that's really the conversation. And I have expressly told them, I come from Nakuru. I would want at least to visit a facility or two that are financed by an institution under us. So Kanyoro and all the good people who are here, please, can you plan? Remember we started by saying we are expanding the road and tripling the traffic. So as we triple the traffic, where are they going to sleep? Do you want homeless tourists? So we want them to come and to find your facilities so that you can be able to work on some of those opportunities that are there. Then we also wanted to mention about the African market. We have what we have already signed to called the Africa Free Trade Area. And that means you can manufacture here for the Rwanda market, for the DRC market, for South Africa, for Zambia. Now, when you look at that particular provision, and you look at the countries across the region, many of the countries have a very low manufacturing base. A country, say like Ethiopia, with a population of around 130 million people, their manufacturing base is small, which means a company from here can specialize in sending products to a country like Ethiopia or any other. And we have already said the funding is there. The government has secured the markets in terms of the trade agreements and all the other markets you want to look at. Even the EAC, if you want to think all the way to Zambia and so on. And I think all this is simply saying that the answer to the problems we have are within ourselves. You know, I don't know how better I can put it. And I think this is really the conversation we need to have as Kenyans, that there is nothing we have that we cannot solve. And if some of these businesses are able to expand, employ a 30, a 40, a 50, soon you will require labor to come here. So I guess there are huge opportunities, and we have come here just to say, please, as you plan your tomorrow, plan with a positive note. And just for your information, I remember when I got into office, I think the second day there was very big news that, I don't know, CMC had closed or something like that. And then thereafter, we were discussing with the PS, there was a lot of stories that companies are closing from Kenya. So where were we being told they were going? Where? Tanzania. So then 2 weeks ago, what were we being told about Tanzania? What were we being told about? Why are they not being told to come back? So I want to tell you that from where I sit, first, there were no companies that were closing. And those that were closing, maybe like CMC, it was a corporate decision to exit Africa. And Africa is not Kenya. So companies from time to time will want to change their strategy, which is well within their policy. But I want to tell you, for every 2 companies that may have closed, there are more than 10 that are coming to Kenya. So me as a business person, I would rather look on the positive side. I'd rather look on why things are working. And for me, when I look at the fundamentals, when I look at the stock exchange, those of you who are familiar with the stock exchange, currently we are having net inflows from outside. These are people investing from America, from Britain, and so on. Why? Because they have the opportunity to look at the whole world, from Singapore to India, Canada, but these are international funds, but they are coming to Kenya. So I think we may have our issues, as we started with, but beyond the issues, our opportunities. And the people to build and make Kenya work is who? It is us. And I'm particularly disturbed. I know at one time I was also a politician, but I would say, if you make a career out of making people depressed and making people believe that nothing is working, that the country is about, then that's probably not the best thing. And maybe even to go to a foreign country for a whole 2 months, from city to city, state to state, to say how everything is falling apart, I think that is the least would expect of any leader. And just for the sake of those of us who are here, so when there are even allegations about a country, you are the one, about your own country, you are the one standing there to say they are true. I was there, I can confirm. Is that patriotism? No, I think that's probably the lowest we can be. We may have our political differences, but let us deal with them politically. But anyway, at the international level, if there are sanctions against Kenya, they will not spare anybody on account of where they come or their political orientation. So let us agree, there are areas to compete, there are areas to cooperate. When it comes to the image of your nation, it is in your best interest to put your country first. Even if I went and I was told, one of my colleagues here, I would first say no and go and confirm whether it was true later. Because he's a Kenyan. So I think there's something we need to do, and also to take this opportunity to urge our people that if we drive the nation into a lot of negativity, then even us will be victims of the very same negativity that you're trying to plant. And I hate to say that I am going all around talking to big international companies. They want to come to Kenya. They want to partner with Kenyans. The Kenyans must also be ready to work together with the opportunities that are coming. And that's the purpose of our meeting today. I don't want to say much. I believe we wanted also to hear from you. The county is here, so if there are issues, even our security people are here, we would want them to be able to respond, even us to respond to whatever issues that you may have. And lastly, allow me to mention about our young people. I know recently when we had a few disagreements, we had an unfortunate incident of a supermarket in Barnabas, also another one in Free Area, and I think that is not, I don't know what to say, but I think it was the lowest, because those are the young people who are working in the same supermarket. So I'm just trying to say, if we continue allowing this culture of lack of respect for private property, then tomorrow nobody will be safe. The jobs we are trying to create will actually be losing even greater. So I think there must be a greater conversation, both with our young people, with the political class, with the counties, and everybody on what is best for Kenya. And I believe that the answer to that lies within all of us. I want to close by saying that since we have Kenya Invest, I've said a few, I think you'll mention all of them. And my request is for all of you who are here and have an interest in these entities, please get in touch with them. Get in touch with them with a view to see what can come out of it. If you need information, we have KEBS. We have about 23 of them. You know, we have Kenas, we have Kirdi, where we are literally like taking you through the steps when you want to do manufacturing. You know, helping you understand what processes, what procedures. If you want to register your patent, again, we have an entity.